What no one told me about nursing homes. 6 lessons I learned the hard way. I never imagined that I would end up in a nursing home. Like many people, I thought it was something far off in the future, something I wouldn't have to think about, until much later. But life has a funny way of throwing surprises at you. After a series of health problems and a fall that left me with a fractured hip, my family and I made the tough decision. It was time for me to move into a nursing home. At first, I tried to stay positive. I told myself it would just be temporary, a place to recover and get back on my feet. But as days turned into weeks and weeks into months, I started to realize that things were not as simple or easy as I had hoped. There were a lot of things I wasn't prepared for, things no one told me about. Looking back now, I want to share the 6 hardest lessons I learned in the hope that it might help someone else make a more informed decision. Lesson 1. It can be very lonely. One of the hardest things about living in a nursing home is the loneliness. Even though you are surrounded by people, it doesn't mean you won't feel alone. I missed my home, my neighborhood, my old routines. I missed the little things, like sitting in my own chair or cooking my own meals. In the nursing home, I had a roommate I didn't know, a schedule I didn't set, and very little privacy. Family and friends visited, but it wasn't the same. They had their own lives and couldn't always come. The staff were kind, but they were busy. There were long stretches of time when I had no one to talk to. I never realized how quiet and slow time could feel until I was sitting in a room alone for hours at a time. The truth is, nothing replaces genuine human connection. Phone calls help, but they're not enough. I learned that staying emotionally connected takes effort from everyone involved, both residents and their loved ones. Sometimes I just wanted someone to sit with me, hold my hand, and simply be there. Lesson 2. Your independence is limited. Before moving into the nursing home, I could still do a lot for myself, even with some help from my family. I didn't expect how much independence I would lose once I moved in. There were rules and routines for everything: when to wake up, when to eat, when to take medicine, when to bathe. I couldn't just decide to go for a walk or sleep in late. I had to wait for someone to help me with things like getting dressed or using the bathroom. It made me feel like I had lost control of my own life. Even small decisions like what I wanted to eat or watch on TV weren't always up to me. It was a hard adjustment. I understood the reasons: safety, schedules, making sure everyone was taken care of, but it didn't make it any easier. I felt like I had gone from being an adult who made their own choices to a child again. I had to remind myself that losing some independence doesn't mean losing all dignity. Over time, I found little ways to reclaim control: choosing my clothes, decorating my space, keeping a journal. These small choices helped me feel more like myself again. Lesson 3. The quality of care varies. Not all nursing homes are the same. I had assumed that the care would be consistent and professional everywhere. That wasn't always the case. Some caregivers were truly wonderful, kind, patient, and dedicated, but others were rushed, tired, or even careless. I saw mistakes happen. I experienced delays in getting help. Sometimes I was left waiting for a long time just to be taken to the bathroom. Medications were missed or mixed up. I had to learn to speak up for myself and keep track of my own care as much as possible. It was scary to think that something so important could be so easily mishandled. I also saw other residents who didn't have family visiting often. I wondered who would speak up for them if something went wrong. It taught me that families need to stay involved and check in often, even if the staff seems friendly. Consistency in care is something I now value more than ever. When a caregiver takes the time to remember your name or your preferences, it makes you feel human again. That connection, even in the smallest way, is healing. Lesson 4. Emotional health is often overlooked. When people talk about nursing homes, they often focus on physical care, but emotional and mental health are just as important. Living in a place where you feel sad, confused, or forgotten can be just as harmful as any illness. There were days when I felt hopeless. I cried more often than I expected. I felt like I had been left behind. I wasn't alone in this. I saw it in other residents too. Some stopped talking much. Others grew angry or depressed. There weren't always resources for emotional support. Yes, there were activities and social events, but they didn't always fit everyone's needs. Some people, like me, needed someone to talk to on a deeper level, not just play bingo with. I began to understand how important it is to keep your mind and heart active, not just your body. Phone calls with loved ones, letters, and even simple conversations became lifelines for me. Over time, I made a friend here, a fellow resident. We talk every day now, even if just for a few minutes. That friendship has helped pull me out of some very dark days. It reminds me that companionship can be found, even in unexpected places. Lesson 5. You need to advocate for yourself in a nursing home. It's easy to become just another patient. With so many residents to care for, individual needs can get lost. I learned quickly that I had to speak up for myself. If something didn't feel right, I had to say something. If I was being ignored, I had to remind the staff. If I didn't understand a treatment or medication, I had to ask questions. It wasn't easy. I didn't want to be seen as difficult or ungrateful, but staying quiet only made things worse. When I started advocating for myself, things improved. I got better care. People started paying more attention. It also helped when my family was involved. Having someone else who could ask questions or raise concerns made a big difference. I realized that in a place like this, having a voice and using it is one of the most powerful tools you have. Learning how to respectfully speak up became a skill I never knew I needed. I even started keeping notes about my care and questions to ask during visits. It empowered me, and more importantly, it reminded me that I still have control over my own story. Lesson 6. It's not all bad, but it is different after all these hard truths. I don't want to leave you with the impression that everything about nursing homes is terrible. There were good moments too. I met some kind people, both staff and residents. I got help when I needed it. I found small routines that brought comfort. I even learned new things about myself, but it was different. It wasn't home, and nothing really prepares you for that until you experience it. The hardest part was adjusting my expectations and finding peace in a new kind of life. I had to grieve my old life while learning to accept the new one. Some days, I still struggle, but I try to focus on the positives, the kindness of a nurse, the laughter of a fellow resident, the beauty of a sunny afternoon outside the building. Joy can still be found here. It just looks a little different now. Final thoughts. If you, or someone you love, is considering a move to a nursing home, I hope these lessons help. Do your research, visit the facility more than once, ask questions, talk to the people who live there, be honest about your needs and fears. Most importantly, stay connected. Call, visit, write letters. Emotional support is just as critical as physical care. Nursing homes are a big change. They come with challenges, but also chances to grow, to connect, and to find new meaning in everyday life. It won't be easy, but with the right mindset and support, it can still be a chapter filled with dignity, learning, and love. And if you're already in one like I am, know this: your voice still matters, your story still matters, and you're not alone. Even in this new stage of life, we are still human. We still have dreams, memories, and a desire to be seen, heard, and valued. Let's not forget that. Let's remind others and ourselves that every life has worth, no matter where we live, how old we are, or how much help we need. We all deserve kindness, respect, and the chance to be understood.